Hello everybody, it's me again. So I had a request to make kind of like a video about drawing faces, which is fun. Definitely something that is a challenge when you're first starting off, and something you should always strive to get better at. Like, you never stop getting better at it. I mean, there's a lot of improvement I personally think I need to do. You learn something new every day, especially when you're drawing different ethnicities and ages. It's almost crazy how many differences there are in just different ages alone. I'm just gonna kind of stick with something really simple though, how I go through the process of drawing faces. Just kind of a little how I do it. I might throw out some pointers there. I will see if I can go over a little bit of realism. I approach that differently than when I do cartoony faces, so there's a little bit of a difference. But for the most part, the method I start off with is about the same. This is just one I whipped up real quick, just to kind of keep it there. I'm going to move it off into the corner now. Uh-oh. Ruined it. There we go. Go right there. It sounded really southern. Alright, so when I sketch, as mentioned in previous videos, I do have this gray background. The bright white can kind of hurt my eyes over time, and when you're coloring, it's easier to get the color together, because when you have a darker, like a black, some colors look darker than they are or brighter than they really are, and same with the white. If anyone's taken the color theory class, what they do is they actually have you have 3 boxes, and here's your actual color, and then they'll put a darker gray on the 2 next to it, and it looks brighter, I think, than it really is, but if you put a white here, it looks darker than it really is. So that's why I just use that mid-gray. Alright, so I'm going to start off with how I usually do my faces. I mean, if you're a beginner, you probably want to don't worry about doing it right the first time. Just never worry about that. The hardest thing for an artist is getting over the ugly stage, or oh my god, my circle that I'm going to start using for my head isn't perfect, or some stupid thing that we worry about which really doesn't make a difference until the very, very end when you're not even existent anymore. So I try and make it quick. I just use these 2 lines here. This line is just so I know where the center of the face is going, and because it's on a curve, I know it's going to be on a 3/4 angle or a slight angle, not straight on. This line right here I use for my eye line. A lot of people starting off will have like all of these lines here. It's too many lines to keep track of for me, and like I said earlier, I'm not worrying about making it perfect when it's really just kind of a reference point for me. And a lot of times I totally just change it up, and I might go to a frontal look for the face. I keep it loose, so I really just make 2 giant circles or ovals or whatever for the eyes. I make a smaller one for the nose, and then the mouth is usually down here. And then I start to kind of outline how I want the face to be. I make a circle for the ear is going to be, and then I finish outlining the overall head. So as you can see, it looks really goofy. Not at all like a head yet. I mean, the eyes aren't even the same size. That's totally fine. And then I'll kind of put in the neck. This line right here is actually a muscle. It's something I try and keep in mind because it connects to the clavicle, which connects to the shoulder, and then, yeah. That's anatomy stuff, which I'll get into later. So then, once I start off doing all of this, it's when I start to get into the fine details of it all. Sometimes I will sketch it out in the same color, which is the pink here, and sometimes I'll use black. Just so you guys can see it better, I'm going to use black. Alright, another trick is to start with the nose, because once you have the nose in place, you then have the eyes, because right here is usually when the corner of your eye is going to be. Now this is really rough. When I draw the eyes, if I'm rushing and I'm not really trying to reference any drawing or particular ethnicity, I just kind of wing it and just let it go. When you're drawing the eye, you have to remember that your eye is an orb, which is why a lot of drawings have this under curve here. The reason for that, this is your eyeball. Hold on. I'm waiting for a package, so I'm trying to make sure I'm not missing the post office person, because yesterday they claimed they dropped it off, or attempted to. I heard nothing, and they didn't even leave me a note. So, we'll see how it goes today. Even though it's Sunday, I think it's lying. Anyway, this is your eye, your iris, your shine here. It's on a curve. So when you're making your eyelid actually wraps around this orb, which is why it always has a rounded look to it. I mean, if you have someone that's okay with staring at staring at their eye, you can definitely look at it, like, hey, can you look down for a second? And you can see this curve, if their eye's partially closed, and their eyelid. It's just something to keep in mind. Obviously, it's going to take practice to get used to it. If you don't usually draw eyes that are referencing realistic stuff. I know a lot of people like to draw the anime style, in which case their eyes will kind of... Oh my god, I haven't drawn anime in so long. Sometimes their eyes look like this, where it's kind of curved inward, and sometimes they curve it outward. I think it's a style preference depending on the show, but realistically your eye is going to curve outward. Oh my gosh, look at this horrible anime eye I'm doing. I haven't done this in forever. So yeah, that's anime-y enough, I guess. I don't know. Add some more eyelashes. It looks awful. I'm erasing that. Okay. Oops. Da-da-da. Oh, man. There we go. Okay, so back to my drawing. So I have the nose in here. I'm putting in the eyes first, and then I put the eyebrows in. Sometimes I just draw a line, and sometimes I fill them in with all black. It really depends for me. And what I'm doing, who I'm drawing, my mood. With both male and female characters, I will fill it in. And I know I'm on the same layer as my sketch. I'm okay with that. Doesn't bother me too much. Let's see here. On the other eye. And this is also a rough sketch. I usually will go back and refine it later. But for the most part, I think that's a little too close. There we go. It looks kind of sad. I guess this is a guy. We'll keep it like that. Alright, so after I got the eyes in, or sketched in, I just kind of go back and sometimes I'll work them a little bit better so they line up a little bit more because it's a little off. And again, don't worry about things being perfect, because if you start watching a lot of professionals and staring at a lot of people who do artwork, there's imperfections everywhere. The point isn't to make something perfect. The point is to get a concept across, or an idea across, or a mood across. That's why we have all these master painters and stuff that have a varying level of skill in their execution of their idea. Versus, it's all different, but they're portraying a message or some sort of theme or just something nice to look at for you. And that's really kind of the final look you want to go for. When drawing faces, you want to capture like life or personality, expression. Obviously, sometimes you're just looking to make a really nice, pretty, or even grotesque looking face, and that's totally fine. You're looking to do more of what's the term? I guess, more of a skillful, finished drawing versus conveying anything else to the viewer. I'm rambling, I'm so sorry. Alright, anyway, so here's the cheekbone. When you're doing a skull, this is really rough. Oh my god. So, the reason your cheekbones come out is the way your bone structure is. So you really want to keep that in mind. I would recommend drawing a couple skulls just to see how it looks. How you can use that to draw your faces and your heads. Like here, would be the eyes, this is your nose, this is your mouth, your head, your ear would be somewhere over here. There we go. That's really, really rough. That's a really bad skull. I can do better, I'm sorry. And then there we go. It's a little more scully. Your nose. Your teeth. There we go. So your cheekbones usually will come out and then down, because here's all your muscle and all that crazy stuff. Alright. And some people have cheekbones that protrude more than others, too. I mean, like I said, everyone's different. I will draw something with a reference next after this. So I just fill in the jawline. That's the neck. And usually at this stage, depending on what kind of character I'm drawing, I might change things from my original outline sketch, as you can see. Because this is going to be a little bit more masculine, I'm kind of not outlining the chin area as much. It's not looking as petite or feminine or what have you. And a lot of those like generic stereotypes that you have for drawing, they do come in handy when you're starting off, because you have at least a reference to go by, and then as you get more comfortable doing it, you can always fine-tune it and make it, to match or a reference or whatever character you're drawing. Because obviously not everyone has the same jaw. Also, to rotate, I'm using the 4 and the 6 on my number pad, and the 5 to go back to the default orientation. Alright, so your ears, the top of the ear should be just where the eyeline is, and the bottom should be just about where the nose is. And I would also practice drawing ears because, well, for one, they're different than everyone has different ears. Some have bigger ears, some don't. But they are a little on the complicated. I guess not really complicated, but something like that. It's like your ear. I guess we'll give this ear earrings. It looks weird. I don't like it. So I'm going to erase that. Alright. Alright, so on to the mouth. Depending on what character I'm drawing, I may outline the lips for the guy, I may not. I've been doing lips lately, so now I think that without the lips, it looks really weird. His nose is a little too small. To mirror the image, you can just hit M. I recommend doing this a lot in your drawings to make sure everything is accurate and kind of give you a fresh perspective on everything. Drawing noses, it's definitely a challenge for me. It took me a while to get used to them. Wow, his head's really on an angle. So we're just gonna... There we go. The thing about noses is basically it's the way the nostrils go. They kind of go back in, and I personally think that it's really hard to make a line drawing of the nose. It works better when you're coloring it and you're just kind of painting it, because then you can get the light and the shadow to make it more nose-like. I feel like I have an easier time with that than I do just drawing it out. A lot of people will add in this part here to indicate shadow. This is like the under part of your nose, and this is the top where the light was going to hit it. And that's fine too. I don't always like to do that. Ugh, I ruined the nose. Right here, this would technically be the bridge of where his nose is going to be. Like on that skull. Everyone has it. Everyone's going to have that spot. It just might be shaped differently depending on your genetics. Here, we'll just do that. I'm going to spend hours on this and I don't want to. Okay. So, and then here is where the nose starts to go into the lip. Right here, this is the Cupid's arrow, or when you're drawing lips. Okay. There's some crazy lips there. Right here is the Cupid's arrow. So, yeah. I'll just leave it there. Okay. And guys, they're gonna have thinner lips. You obviously can make them bigger. It doesn't matter. But they're not gonna have it as pronounced. Your top lip is usually thinner than the bottom lip, and it's always in shadow compared to the lower lip. This is really not proportionate. His eyes are too big, but that's fine. I guess we'll give you some hair. I'd like to draw in the hairline just so I know. They're dumping upstairs. Hold on. Okay, no man. Just so I can have an idea of where I'm putting the hair. I guess let's go some spiky hair. This is where it divides. So when you're drawing the hair, if you look at anyone's hair, especially guys, there's always kind of a part, and that's where the hair, direction of the hair is going to kind of be different. Like if you're doing pigtails, you have, draw a head. Your hair is going to go this way and this way. It's going in this direction and that direction. And then the back, it's going up. So, it's kind of something to keep in mind. I have no idea what this character looks like. No, it's looking like a woman to me. I don't know, be a little bit of everything. So yeah. That's how I start off drawing. Let me get a reference image in here, so I'll be right back while I find one. Alright, well, this is the best one I can find right now. Just gonna try for another one, but I did it. Alright, so we're going to reference this drawing. A couple of things to point out when you first look at this. The face shape, how her hair is affecting how her face shape looks. Her head seems to be a little bit down. You can tell because you can't see the nose, like it's not how you would see it straight up. It's kind of tilted down a little bit. She is smiling, so her lips are going to be stretched wider than versus if she wasn't smiling. So you can also tell, you can see more of the top of her head, so she's looking down just a little bit. Alright, so I'm gonna kinda do that. I'm gonna start off how I did before. Because she's smiling, everything's getting stretched. Because your cheek muscles, they go out, so they give you a rounded look. She kinda looks like a cat right now. I haven't really drawn much, but that's fine. So right now I'm just kind of marking the important details I'm going to need to reference for spatial reasons, like the hairline. Hers kind of goes in a curve. Kind of goes over her eyebrow a little bit. Then it goes, outlines her face. And some of her hair is behind her ear. The other parts are going to be over her ear. Probably isn't going to be as realistic as I want it to be. That's okay. I'm going to draw it as I feel it. And then that's where her ear is. The earrings are kind of showing out here. And the nice thing about her smile is her lips kind of curve a little bit, so it's easier to kind of reference that. And that would be her gum line, and then her teeth. That's really bad. So I'm just going to kind of outline it. And the corners of the mouth should never really go past the pupil. So I should draw in the eyes a little more. And she is wearing makeup, which is going to make her eyes look bigger than they really are. I'm just going to shade that in. If you've ever seen those makeup videos where they're comparing before and after, or with and without makeup and all that crazy stuff, makeup does make your eyes look bigger than they really are. It's ridiculous. It's just crazy how that looks. It's cool, but it's crazy. Alright, so can I get the bridge in here? Generally the space between the two eyes is going to be the space of an eye. Just so you know. Alright, and then the switch between the eraser and your drawing tool is the letter E. Sorry, I should have mentioned that earlier, but I didn't. Alright, so you can see here in the corner of her eye, it looks like it's going up, but really it's going back. Because remember how we talked about the eye being round and everything curves around that? So your lower eyelid's just actually curving back. It's not curving up, it's curving back. So keep that in mind when you're drawing eyes. You can kind of see your eyelash a little bit. I like this expression because she looks a little mischievous. Those are always fun. Alright. Fix this eye up a little bit. Okay, so then I'm gonna do lips. If you ever watch cartoons and everything looks very blocky with the smiles, like Bruce Timm, for example, if you watch how his characters smile, there's always the lip looking like this. This is why. It's just a simplified version of, or simplified drawing of how the lips go, which is not bad. It's kind of what cartoons do. They take the realism and they kind of simplify it. This would be, it's really bad. This isn't really easy to draw in pink, so I'm probably going to outline this in black in just a minute here. Alright. It's important to know when the corners of the mouth here, she has lipstick on, so it might be a little harder to see. It's kind of, the lip is kind of gone, so you're just seeing it stretched. So it's pretty thin. This is kind of the inside, almost, is where this is going. And she's also, like I said, wearing lipstick, so when you're outlining your lips with liner and stuff, you kind of go under your actual lip sometimes to make them a little bigger and to keep everything in line. I don't think she did that here at all, but some people do that to make your lips look bigger and to just kind of even everything out, because nobody has lips that are 100% even. Also keep that in mind. Imperfections are not a bad thing. Alright, so we're just going to kind of start thinning it out, and then in the middle it should be a little bigger, and then it stretches back up. I have to, oops, make this bigger. And if you'd like to find the reference that I'm using, I will link her DeviantArt stock page. She has some good expressions and all that. DeviantArt is usually pretty good with getting decent references out there. I did try and find some new stuff before I got this one, but I couldn't find anything worth using. Got your good days and your bad days for that. So, with teeth, they don't actually go all the way around in your mouth. These two lines here that I'm blocking out, I'm filling in, those are not where teeth go. It's just like the back and it's inside of your mouth. I should probably fix this a little bit. Okay. This is not perfect, but it's close. Okay. Don't like drawing teeth. Okay, so I got a pretty decent sketch down. I think this is a good point to start blocking in. Hold on a second. Get the shoulder in there. She's doing a little bit of a shrug here. Okay. I go to my layers and I hit the lock transparency over here. And then I just take black and I color the whole thing in. Oops. I don't want to color that in. It looks so much better. Yay! Alright, so now that it looks a little better to me, I can go in and kind of fine tune anything I want to fine tune. So I can make, oops. If you hit the control button, you can eyedrop your color. Sometimes I hit it and I hold it down for too long. Or I hit the button on my tablet pen, and that also doesn't help. And another thing to bring your drawing to life, you can always erase some of the black out, so it looks like the shine in the eye. Kind of brings it to life. Yeah, I like this so far. I'm gonna shade the lips a little bit. There we go. So you just kind of go back and you fine tune all the details, and then yeah, that's pretty much how I do it. Oops. A lot of it's just really practice. There's literally no secret to how to get better like really quick except practice. That's all I can say. It sucks because you like as an artist you always want to get better like yesterday. The quickest way I got better at doing these, in my art class we had to keep a sketchbook and fill the whole thing up in like 3 months with tons of sketches for portraits or people, anything we could really put in there, anatomy-wise or drawing-wise. As you can see, I'm taking artistic liberty with her hair a little bit. And that's a good thing because you're getting used to different face types and practicing how to identify reference points to draw from. Oh, I made her hair too puffy. There we go. It's a little better. And you can also see the differences between the way people smile. Like, no one's smile is going to be the same. And you see more muscle structure the more you kind of look at it. I think the hardest thing for me was to recognize the muscle structure in the face, because I did not like adding all these lines. I always thought it made everything look bad, and in reality it really doesn't. It just kind of adds more to it. And then you can start shading it in for lighting. And just doing it lightly. Not going too crazy with it. Like I said earlier with the noses, sometimes the best thing to do is just to shade it. Like here, their eyebrow starts to get a little darker. Now I'm not really adding too much shading in here. There's really not a lot going on because of the way the lighting is in the picture. I'm missing just really bright lights, and they're probably right on her face or close to it. Piercing here. And getting in like little quote unquote imperfections, or adding those in, it really helps really make the character. So I'm a dork for cartoons, especially 3D ones, and I've been watching Miraculous Ladybug, woohoo! And one of the characters, Alia, has some beauty marks on her face, which to me was pretty interesting because usually when you're doing character design, that's especially for kids, you don't usually put that in there. It's just very simple, very clean. Everyone's kind of, I don't want to say perfect, but that's kind of how it looks. Everyone's kind of perfect looking. And I think a lot of the reason for cartoons, I think more of it has to do with the fact that it's not always easy to put something in the same spot, like frame after frame after frame. But Miraculous Ladybug is 3D, so you don't have to keep changing that. It's like textured and it's done. So I think they're able to get away with a lot more really cool details in their characters. Oh no, I have to draw a heart. This is gonna look so bad. So, I don't know, maybe this is just me, but sometimes I have trouble drawing really simple shapes. It's like a heart. Oh, that looks so easy. And then you're spending 5 hours perfecting it. So we'll just, yeah, that's good enough, I guess. So yeah, that's, it's not bad. I could probably fix this a little more. I'm not going to touch, well, maybe I will touch it. Nice thing about working digital is you can always just move stuff. For better or worse. Let's see. I feel like that made it worse. Alright, we'll just leave it at that. It's not perfect, it's not 100% accurate. But at least you kind of have an idea of how I approach things. Yeah. So that's that one. And when you're first starting off too, even if you think it looks bad, you should always use reference. It's not a good idea to not do it and to just sit there and say, oh, I'll just do it from memory, because you haven't even established in your memory where everything is. You're still learning. I mean, this, if you compare it to real life drawing, probably mistakes all over the place. But by using reference, you start to get your mind trained on this is the general proportion for the face. And the more you do that, the easier it is to keep drawing it over and over again. Checking for the mailman. Still not here. Alright. So, I'm not really sure what else to do. I guess I can draw one of my characters. And how I approach that. She is and I'm sorry these are all women. I don't draw guys very often. I think it's because I am female, so it's easier for me to reference myself for female characters, whereas male, I have a hard time finding really good reference. Mainly because everyone's they're like muscle builders and stuff like that, or they're doing, it's just not always easy finding good male reference. It's always easy to find female reference, but not in my experience. Male reference is like hard to come by, especially good reference. Alright, so let's see if I can draw her from memory. Whenever I start drawing her, I usually have to go back and, surprise, look at reference, because she is of Japanese descent, so I have to make sure her facial structure, her eyes, everything is meeting that general appearance of someone who's Japanese.
We fell out of love like shooting stars came crashing down, and we're building back up again now. I see your heart, see your mind, see all you hide. I won't let you go, can't let this die. When you lose yourself, I'll be right beside you. I see your heart, see your mind, see all you hide. I won't let you go, can't let this die. When you lose yourself, I'll be right beside you.
I have to keep in mind that too when drawing her. There we go. Round out the cheeks a little bit more. I like that. Okay. There are definitely some anatomy issues with this face that's throwing me off, but I think I like it. Yay! I was gonna do painting and everything, but I think for now I'm just gonna stick with the drawing. I would probably start practicing drawing like this to start off with, just so you can get an idea of basic light and shadow and getting used to drawing the key details. And then, practice some skulls and work your way up from that. It's still bothering me. I don't know why. I think in previous drawings I'm able to make bottom lid a little straighter. I think that's what I did. There we go. It's kind of amazing how one little thing that you change can drastically change the look of your character. Or your drawing. Or whatever. So yeah. Alright. I can't really think of anything else to really show you. So I'm probably just going to speed draw some other portraits, and then hopefully you can figure something out from there.
I say your heart to the night, see all your heart. I won't let you go. One little song. When you lose yourself, I'll be right beside you. I say your heart to the night, see all your heart. I won't let you go. One little song. When you lose yourself, I'll be right beside you. I'll be right beside you. We fell out of love like shooting stars came crashing down, and we're building back up again now.
A man who on every occasion has given the best that he has.
I'll be right beside you.
For now, I got some fun stuff going on. So yeah, that's just kind of how I do it. It helps to be repetitive and just keep practicing. If you like how my method goes, starting with like a really crazy face and then fine-tuning it from there, feel free to practice it. Ask me questions. If you want me to do, I don't know what you want me to do next. I guess if you want me to go more in detail about the anatomy of the face, I can do that. But really it's just kind of learning the muscle structure and the bone structure. So, yeah, I can continue with more, like, just quick time-lapse videos of me drawing if you'd like. Totally cool with that. Love doing that. Just so you can see my process from start to finish. You kind of have an idea of how I do it with the sketches that I have here. So hopefully this kind of helped you or gave you some insight about how you want to start your drawings and how you want to approach your faces. And yeah, leave questions, comments below. Do have a Patreon link in the description. Feel free to check it out. So yeah, have a good one, guys. Thanks for watching.